everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Very excited to be here in the lovely Isle of Wight. So we came down at Christmas. I think we were in Ryde. I said the name wrong. We were in Ryde, but didn't get to see too much. So it's really nice to be back and to wake up and see the sea, because I do quite like being by the sea. So it makes everything feel better. So I'm really, really pleased to be here today. I'm going to be doing a couple of recipes from my book, Happy Cooking. For me, Happy Cooking is my second book, or was my second book that I wrote, my second cookbook. The first one, Comfort, came very, very quick after Bake Off.
Well, yeah.
I got that written in about 3 months. I didn't sleep, I don't think, when I was writing that, because with the two books, I wrote and tested every single recipe myself. I didn't want to put my name to anything that I hadn't done completely. So that one was quite quick. And then Happy Cooking actually came during that very weird time of COVID and lockdown.
We all needed some happiness.
We really did.
Yeah.
But everyone started gravitating towards the kitchen, didn't they?
Yeah.
And it's something that I've kind of always done with my own kind of battles with mental health. The kitchen is my happy place. So to go head down and just get all involved and completely all consumed in cooking and baking. And during COVID and lockdown, when people couldn't leave houses and things like that, more and more people started gravitating towards the kitchen. The banana breads and things like people were like making the sourdoughs.
Sourdough,
yeah.
thing.
I still cannot do that. I've killed 2 of them, and I feel so bad. I just can't bring myself to do it again.
It's so slow, isn't it?
It's such a slow process, and I quite like quick stuff. So that's sort of where Happy Cooking was born out of. And within Happy Cooking, there are recipes that can be done in 20-30 minutes start to finish, which is these two. There are recipes in there that are kind of what I call you 2 for 1. So you do a roast dinner and you've got a big old joint of meat and you've got leftovers. I mean, I don't even know how to talk about leftovers. It's very rarely leftovers in my house because I'm so greedy. I'll go back for seconds and thirds. But yeah, so making pie out of lots kind of like the leftover meat or things like that. And then all consuming bakes. So bakes that you can while away 6-7 hours, just head down and be in your complete home zone. So these 2 recipes are from the sections kind of like 30 minutes or less. And I'm going to be making like a frying pan, skillet pan cookie, which can either be done as little ones, individual. Yeah. They can also be done as regular cookies on a baking tray, or we can do one big one. So I'm going to start with that so we can get that in.
Are we doing one big one?
We're doing one big one.
Wow.
In my head, that's one portion. That's my. This is a me size cookie. I don't know about anybody else. And then I'm going to do. So basically, I'm doing what I normally do. So you have pudding first, and then your main. I'm going to do. You think I'm joking?
Also one of those people that will order 3 puddings and the waiter comes over and goes, 1 spoon. I go, yeah. He goes, oh. I go, no, they're all for me. Poor Nikki sat there like, I'm like, no, you didn't order it, you're not having it. It's a bit of a problem.
I'm coming to your restaurant in Milton Keynes.
Yes.
We've got a restaurant, a pub,
a
deli.
Yeah, I mean,
they're making all the cakes the other day.
Yes, so we have the pub, the Green Man, which is in Eversholt. So we've had that. Me and my brother have had that for about 7 years in December. Gosh, I don't know where that time goes. About 7 years in December, and then about 6 months ago, we decided, I'm still not sure why, in the current climate, to open a restaurant and deli. So
it's because you haven't got enough to do.
I know. I mean, who needs sleep? It's fine. So Margo's it's a deli 7 days a week, but from Wednesday through to Sunday, it's a restaurant as well. We've got our own coffee blend, which is delicious, and I make all the cakes for the deli, and I make good sandwiches, and
so in there, while we've been talking, I
do that. I'll just talk about anything, and then I'm like, whoops. Yeah. So with any cakes or cookies or anything like that I bake, I always start with blending sugar and butter together. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to break that up ever so slightly because it's still a little bit solid. So just in here, I've got unsalted butter. So I will normally use unsalted butter in my baking because it just means you can control the amount of salt that's going in, essentially. However, if you are having toast or spreading it on thick bread, please be salted butter.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, absolutely.
bread and salted, warm bread and salted butter might be one of my favourite things.
It's one
in
of the foods
world.
of the gods, I
It
think.
really is,
I
and
know.
good butter as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to blend that up, and it literally is. It's one of those things that everything goes in together.
Yeah.
I mean, you might regret sitting on the front row now.
And I notice you prefer the hand mixer to this. Is that?
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
She says.
It'll
looking
be
at
all
the
right.
floor.
Yeah. It's all right.
It's all
Don't
right.
worry about the
It's
floor.
all right. We'll tidy that up later. I did a demo once, and it was a mixer I hadn't used before.
Yeah.
And I put the flour in, and as I turned it on, it kind of did this whoomp sound to get started. When I say the flour went whoomp, and I just stood there. It was in my eyelashes, and I just stood there going, and I just had to carry on. But it literally was like a tidal wave of flour on stage in front of everyone.
I know. I once had a dinner party and was making a pesto. I think it may be even that I roped Julia in. So was it that? It wasn't your fault. I think I roped Julia in salsa verde. That's right. And all over the kitchen and your hair. It was everywhere.
Oh no, not the hair.
I was so sorry. Garlic, basil, olive oil.
Oh, it smelled delicious.
Anchovy.
I mean, the anchovies, even better. I've got a best one than that. My mum, so I grew up in pubs, so not only do I own a pub now, I grew up in pubs. So mum and dad run pubs for 25 years.
Yeah.
And she used to make a banoffee pie, but she'd make it by boiling the tin of condensed milk to turn the condensed milk into coffee.
Exploding.
Yeah. In the pub kitchen, upstairs, they were downstairs on a Saturday busy night. She let the saucepan boil dry, and this tin of toffee exploded. So it was quite a big kitchen at a pub. You wouldn't think a tin of toffee could cover an entire kitchen from top to bottom. It was unbelievable. It was in things, it was under things, it was on things. But my mum's main concern was she had a Mel Gibson calendar. And it went on Mel's face. I'm going to let you guess the sort of words that come out of my dad's mouth when she said, "Oh my gosh, Mel." And I'll leave that to your imagination as to what my dad said to that. We were still finding it about 3 years later.
But it's a question of priorities, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I know. But things like that, I mean, I am quite chaotic. I love a bit of pressure, hence probably why I like the bake-off so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Have we got a little spatula as well, if that's okay?
Yeah, they will have.
Love having assistants.
Yeah.
Go to my head. And I love kind of the chaos of the kitchen. I love chaos. Yeah. The kitchen chaos, the chefs don't quite enjoy. They say to me, "I don't know how you work like this." I'm like, "Work like what? I don't know what you're talking about."
Some people, I mean, I'm a chaotic cook. I think some
Thank you,
people do need a bit of chaos around them, don't they?
Yeah, I quite like it. It makes for fun. I'm not sure anybody else thinks about that.
Not Glynis,
so
never.
I'm just adding 3 eggs in, whisking that up. If it starts to curdle, then just pop in a teaspoon of flour and that will bring it back together. But we're all right here.
So could you tell us, for those people who might be keeping notes, how much butter went in there? Was it a whole 250 grams?
Yeah, 250 grams of butter.
Yeah.
Then it equals about 300 odd grams of the 2 sugars. If you've only got white caster sugar, use
Doesn't
that.
matter. Yeah.
I found as well, I use quite a lot at the moment, is demerara sugar in cookies. Gives it a really lovely texture as well. Yeah. So we've got a little bit of vanilla bean paste here. So I'm just going to add in some of that. When I'm baking, I do try as much as possible to use things like, you'll see how gorgeous and thick this is. And it also has the little flecks of the vanilla beans and the seeds, rather than using essences and things like that, because they're just a little bit perfumey. And also, being in a pub, I tend to use things like liqueurs, so like gins that have so many beautiful flavours. I mean, we've spoken about this. And just those gorgeous flavours within like your gins and your rums. So you've got vanilla or ginger in some of the rums, or a really, really lovely like orange liqueur in anything you're doing chocolate. I think that works so nice. Obviously, if you don't drink or you can't drink anything like that, then you can leave it out. But I think that's such a nice a way of doing it. Yeah.
I can see. I was actually very pleased to see you using good vanilla, because in our ice cream we used to be so particular. We were just talking about the cost of vanilla and chocolate these days has gone absolutely through the roof.
Crazy.
But it's worth it. It's
is.
absolutely worth it. If you want to end up with a good result, you have to start with good ingredients.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm putting a good pinch of salt in. I've got just plain flour there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to add a little tiny bit of baking powder as well. But I put some salt in. If you're doing anything with chocolate, salt changes that flavour completely. It takes it from chocolate to, oh my goodness, chocolate. Yeah. Just the salt opens up a different kind of element in your taste buds, and it just makes such a difference. So hence why I use this unsalted butter and then kind of add a little bit of salt in there, or a little bit of salt on top. So when you add the flour, same with anything, don't over mix it. So you want to just bring it together. As soon as it starts coming together,
can you see that up there? What's happening?
I'm going to swap, and I'm just going to go in with spatula, and just literally until it's brought in. And then I'm going to add in, so we've got some white chocolate chunks, got some dark chocolate
roughly
chunks.
Just what it looks like.
Literally what it looks like, It's me being sparing on the dark chocolates. I've just spoken about how expensive it is. And then also, I've got pistachios here, which are they're probably my favourite kind of nut to use. But again, crazy expensive.
Prices,
Better check that. Lovely.
Yeah.
little rough chop. And then just pop that and fold them through. Okay? So with anything, if you're making cookies, biscuits, cakes, just make sure you don't over mix. Okay?
Right, okay.
Because you don't want to work the gluten too much. You end up with a really, really tough bake.
Do you know what I can never use is baking powder? I get it. I put too much in or not enough.
Yeah, baking powder's so amazing.
Yeah.
But it is a real fine line. And interestingly, if you were to put too much baking powder in your sponge, it works really fast. So loads of air goes in, and then it goes.
Then it collapses.
Because it just just works too fast.
Yes.
So what are we on here? We've got both oven on. Yeah, perfect. See, that's what I should have done before I came out, but I'll do it on stage. If it hadn't been on, there'd have been a bit of a panic.
Yeah, they turn out to be very, very capable. Hooray. There'll be bake-off stars before we know.
I know, I better watch my back, hadn't I? That's all I've got, guys. That's all I've got. So this is what I would call sort of like a skillet pan cookie. So, as I said, this is also just one portion. Breakfast. There's nuts in there, so it means it's one of your 5 a day.
Absolutely, it is.
And you're just going to spread that out. So we've done this in the pub. We've had it on as a lovely, lovely little lovely pudding in the pub. Where
it's stiff, isn't it?
So obviously we don't want it to be loose. It's not a sponge. It is a cookie batter.
Yes.
And obviously making sure you have a little
taste, just to check.
A little taste to check it's all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, there we go. Oh, we got some nice vanilla in there.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I always say if it tastes okay raw, it should be all right cooked. Yeah. If it's not, you just don't tell anyone. And we're just going to pop that into the oven.
Could you put different things in there?
Absolutely,
so
yes.
You could put raisins or...
Raisins, other chocolate, like chocolate orange, different kind of nuts. Obviously, if you are allergic to nuts, probably don't put nuts in. No. It doesn't really work very well.
Probably not.
There we go.
And what temperature is that?
That's about 160.
Yeah.
I will keep an eye on that. She says we'll keep an eye on that. What we've got on there, 23. So if anyone wants to let me know in about 10 minutes, we'll go to 11.
10 minutes.
There we go. That's my other favourite thing to do is get going and then not putting a timer on and going, what time did that go in? No idea. Okay, so you can literally, and that's the thing. When I bake and when I cook, I think it's so important that you don't get completely sort of over-consumed and over kind of worried about the recipe that's written, because actually there's going to be something in there that you're not going to like. There's going to be things in there that you want to change, and I really encourage that. You might not have an ingredient, and cooking shouldn't be about having to go to the supermarket or order Himalayan salt that's been brought in from the sea on the full moon and stuff like that. We don't need to be doing that. It's stressful, because then the time it arrives, you've forgotten what you were going to make anyway. So just use what you've got. Have a look what you've got in the cupboard. Okay, I haven't got any white chocolate, but I've got some dark chocolate, and I've got a bag of mini marshmallows. Don't know I've got a bag of mini marshmallows. Chuck those in. That sort of thing.
I like that. Yeah, I think that so often, like, I've forgotten, and someone wants to run out to the shop, but it's not necessary, really.
No, it's really, really not.
You can compensate.
And it's the same with like vegetables.
Yeah.
I'm so big on not wasting food at the moment. I think being in the pub industry with the deli and the cost of everything. The cost of everything is just so expensive.
Yes.
And we can't be wasting food. There's always something you can kind of do with either leftovers or how you can change that. And one of my things is, why in the fridge do you always have a little dried spring onion that's on its own at the back?
Yes. Why
and a pepper that's sort of half soggy on one side?
Yes.
Now, honestly, the other day, Nicky, my other half, I spilt some milk in the fridge and it went in the veg drawer. He wanted to throw the lot away because it had milk on it. I went, just wash it. Things like that kind of thing. Just wash. It's got. There we go again. Excuse me. Yeah.
It's a here.
And we don't like to kind of waste, and it's just like, just take off the little dry bits of the spring onion, cut off those bits. I think I did like a really lovely campaign with like Too Good to Go and people with the best before, anything like the best before day.
The tyranny of the best before day.
I know, it doesn't
Absolutely.
mean
on a vegetable.
Use your sight, use your smell, and obviously taste. Obviously, if something like raw food, like meats and fish, I mean, you're not going to chance that. No. If your chicken's regrown legs, I would not be using that one. But I just love using anything up. And one of the things we do at Margo's at the moment is we have pastries in the morning. And sometimes at the end of the day, we do have some left over. Again, I don't know how. We do have some left over. So what I've started to do is make sort of brownies and blondies and cutting them up and use it. So we do a pain au chocolat blondie or a raspberry and white chocolate blondie.
Now,
so
that's never occurred to me. So how do you do that?
So just make the blondie, make the brownie, and then slice them up and put it on top. So you've got this gorgeous crispness of the croissant or the brownie, and no waste. And people love that. Yeah. So I'm now moving on. So my cookie's in there cooking. Yeah. And I'm now moving on to my pancake batter. So with this, I have used some buckwheat. So I've got half buckwheat and half plain flour. I love buckwheat. In a previous life, I fully believe I was a French pig farmer called Claude, who used to eat pancakes and drink a gallon of red wine and smoke 100 cigarettes a day.
Calvados with the buckwheat pancake, surely. You drank Calvados.
No, just red wine, but like in big bottles. And he used to sit in the field with his pigs and he was really happy. Yeah. So, galettes, obviously in France, are famously made with buckwheat. So this is my very roundabout way of me going back to my pretend French roots. So I just like the texture of it. Well, I think it just adds a little something else.
And a different flavour as well.
Yeah, for sure. But again, it is a little bit of a bit of a niche product. So if you don't have it, just use all plain flour. That's all you need to do. Then I've put 2 eggs in there, okay? And
How much plain flour?
So this was 60 and 60. So about 120 grams. Just be aware, if you're using things like whole meat, wholemeal flours, anything like that, sometimes they take a little bit more liquid. Okay, so the same with like if you're making bread and things, like your brown wholemeal flour will use a little bit more liquid.
Right, okay.
So I'm now going in with whole milk.
That was about 300
mils, yeah. Okay, so what I do is I start with the paste, okay, and then add the milk a little bit at a time. If there's lumps, we don't worry about it because
they'll cook out.
Don't mind a lump.
No, we no.
No one would mind. No, and then just add it all in. And again, using whole milk, not semi-skimmed. Not semi-skimmed. Okay, skimmed. It's just
too thin, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like white water.
The French add a bit of melted butter to their pancakes.
Yes, they do indeed.
Yeah.
They do indeed. I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do that in the pan. So I'm going to add my melted butter in the pan, and then the pancake on top, so you get this gorgeous little frill. So with pancakes or batters or things like that, often they say to rest, okay? So I would do this now, give it a little mix, okay? And then I'm going to leave that to the side while I just do my filling, okay?
I'm really impressed that you're doing everything by hand, because, you know, I've forgotten. Do we all get out our mixers at home just for that? Look how easy she made that, and much less washing up.
I know. I am very, very strong. I get I'm like that, I start mixing stuff, and I'm like, why am I out of breath? Maybe I should stop having the second and third portions of dinner, and
or fewer glasses of wine.
I mean,
yeah, I know.
Like when I'm me and Claude. So I've got my pan on, and I'm just going to add in. We've got some butter here, so I'm going to add a little bit of butter into that pan, and also a little bit of oil. Okay, lovely little tip is that oil will stop the butter from burning. Okay, however, if it does burn, you just say, I've just made a buono, or I've just done a brown butter, actually. It's
brown
butter, very trendy, so I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a lot of these things? I'm like, yeah, it was meant to be like that. Yeah, promise, it's supposed to be like that. Could I have another spatula, if that's okay? So I'm just going to melt my butter and my oil in there. And Bailey and Louise, I'm going to sneeze. Bailey and Louise have very kindly, they've prepped all my mushrooms for me, my chives, my onion and garlic. I mean, I'm pretty much out of a job up here, guys.
Here we are.
Thank you so much. And I've just got a real mix of mushrooms.
Oh, Richard's got a question.
Okay. It's melting. I think so. Normally, if it doesn't work, it will shout at you, doesn't it?
Yes, I think they do shout quite vociferously.
I have that at a lot at the pub.
Yeah.
The new things, like the ovens and things, like, because I prefer, in all honesty, obviously this is gorgeous, but when you're just cooking on fire, I think you can control it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But we've got one of the eunuchs and like the rationales in the kitchen. Yeah. When the time's up, they shout at you so aggressively. It's like literally like a fog, like a panic alarm going off. You're like, where is that? I mean, it's just keeping an eye on these things. The same with like the induction hob. But no, we're melting. We're all good, I think, as long as it's kind of there. So they have, they've prepped me some mushrooms. I've just got a real mix of mushrooms, and I love this season because we are full coming into mushroom season. I love seeing them grow. I think they're so clever. I know it sounds a really silly thing to say, but I think mushrooms are so clever. Did you know the world wouldn't survive without mushrooms?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. So the bit on top is the flour.
Yeah.
Oh, no. The bit on top is the flour.
Yeah.
We've got some lovely oyster mushrooms in there, some chestnut. Again, if you've only got button mushrooms, use those. Okay. There's like miles and miles underground of all like the mycorrhiza and everything like that. It's very, very clever. And I just love them. There's so many, but don't eat the red ones. I'm fine. So I'm just going to pop those into the pan. I mean, look at them. They're so gorgeous. I love mushrooms, but this is a big old seps here.
You go foraging for them. I mean, initially they do this a lot, but I worry in case we kill people like that.
I mean, it's always a worry, isn't it? And also, who had the job of being the mushroom tester? Is this one okay? Is anyone seen Bill today? No. Right, don't eat those mushrooms then. Yeah, like who got given that job?
I know, because there's so many different varieties. How are you supposed to know?
I think, and obviously if you're doing anything like that, just double check. With maybe a professional, i.e. not me. That's fine. So we've got some onion in there as well. Very beautifully chopped. Thank you very much, team backstage. And I'm just going to sweat that down, okay? So we've got a little bit of heat going on in our
induction hob.
There we go.
There we are. Yeah.
And then probably one of my favourite ingredients in the world, garlic.
Yeah.
I don't think there is much better than the smell of butter, onion, garlic cooking. The only thing that might make that better is bacon, and again, which is something you could add into this.
Yeah, or indeed wine later on.
Oh, dreamy, dreamy.
Absolutely.
As I said, obviously with the cookie, it is a little bit sort of indulgent and delightful. However, we're completely balancing.
That's it.
Was that
10
like
minutes.
10 minutes, was it?
It is.
I'm going to go a little bit more. I'm going to go another 5 if that's all right.
5 minutes.
Oh,
Bailey's on it. I don't have to.
So good. Yes, we've got our indulgent cookie there, but what we've got here is we've got mushrooms, onion, garlic. I'm going to put some spinach in there. I'm going to put some chives in. So that's pretty much all of your 5 a day.
Yes.
Okay. What we're not going to talk about is the lump of Stilton I'm about to break in. No. The fact that it's been cooked in butter, and I'm going to grate over some parmesan.
But you see, there's health and then there's pleasure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is that. Or I think I think everything should be eaten and drunk in moderation. We're so lucky to have the most phenomenal foods around, the most amazing flavours. We're able to taste food from every corner of the world now, literally on our doorsteps. And I think it's a bit of like to do ourselves a little bit of an injustice not to try those things, not to have those things, but obviously everything in moderation.
So you're seasoning your batter?
Yes, I put some chives through my batter there. Yeah. I often do that with things like batters or cakes. I'll put, if I'm making Yorkshire puddings, I'll put some horseradish. And I heard is there a garlic horseradish in?
There is.
There is. There we go. That's going in my next lot of Yorkshire pudding batters.
Right.
So we're just sweating that down. And I mean, it's so simple. These are such simple ingredients, but the smell of that is just gorgeous.
I'm sure it's filling the marquee. Can you all smell it?
It's just lovely, isn't it? Apologies if you're all leaving.
Making us very heavy.
I mean, this
hungry,
is
breakfast.
Heavy and
heavy and hungry.
Best way to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, for me, this is something as well. This could be a lovely little breakfast dish, lunch. Also adding in maybe some, like I said, about bacon, some shredded ham hock, even some chicken through that as well. Makes it really, really filling, really, really lovely. Again, if you've got a little roast chicken and you've got kind of the carcass left over, picking all those leftover bits off that, or if you're making a soup.
The tastiest bits, aren't they?
Oh, they are. They are. And that's what I quite like. I call them chef perks or cook perks. Is if you're in the kitchen, for me, on a roast chicken, the chef or the cook perk is the wings. And no one else is in the kitchen. You just have the little wings as it's come out the oven. So I thought, where have they gone? I don't know what
so it didn't have any wings.
Don't know what you're talking about.
It was an unusual chicken.
It was.
No wings, wasn't it?
Yes, very much so.
A bit like me, Julie. Definitely a flightless bird.
So, this is a lovely pepper grinder. So I'm going to season this with some salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see, the doggies, or I had to leave my doggies with Nikki. Oh, they're so funny.
What have
I've
you
got 3
got?
rescue dogs.
Oh.
So I've got a pug, a Pomeranian and a Chihuahua. They're all rescues and they're all little monkeys. They are so funny. Okay.
Can they resist nice food?
The pug is... Pugs are renowned for being the greediest breed ever. Yeah. He takes it to a new level. When he eats, you'd think he'd never eaten before, ever. Okay, so that's...
Your spinach.
The spinach is just going on in there with my mushrooms, my onion and my garlic. Spinach always blows my mind a little bit. I love spinach, and in my head, if I eat spinach, it cancels out everything else I've eaten that day, like completely balances it out.
Of course it does.
Yeah. But how can a bag this big, when you cook it, go to that big?
I don't know.
Where does it all go?
It's a mystery.
It is.
It really is.
But it's so good for you. I love the flavour of it. But what I use actually is the frozen blocks of spinach. You get so much, and I think actually with the cost of things and how everything is at the moment, frozen veg is a really great way, and a lot of the time it's done so well, like you really kind of would not.
No, there's no waste, is there? Which
absolutely
is
not.
Another thing.
So that has just wilted right down there. You can see we've got a lovely little bit of colour. We've got that spinach through there, and then just to finish off, all I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this heat off. And then I'm just going to break in some Stilton. So in the recipe book, it calls for gorgonzola, but I talk about you can use Stilton, you could use a brie, camembert, anything like that. But I feel a little bit of blue cheese just goes so perfect.
I love your definition of little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tiny.
Tiny. It's almost there's almost no
you can
cheese
barely
going
see
in.
it.
No,
I know. But it adds so much flavour, and also when you're obviously seasoning as well, with things like this, such a full amount of flavour coming from things like Stilton.
Yes.
Obviously, just be aware of that seasoning. So all I've done is I've turned that heat right down off, and I'm just going to allow that heat
to melt it.
Just to melt through that lovely Stilton there. Okay.
Fantastic.
Now, see, she said she was messy, didn't she?
That's
so,
amazing.
Thank you so much. Now, have we got a tea towel?
A tea towel,
if that's okay. Because one of my favourite things to do, and we were talking about this, weren't we? Taking a pan out of the oven and then leaving it on the side and then going back to it. I've got like tiger stripes up my arms. Normally, I get like one here and one here because I go, because it makes me jump. Yeah. Thank you so much. So, let's have a little look at this. Oh, just look.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Now, what we want is, we want it to be slightly cooked around the edge, and then we want gooey in the middle, and I think we are there with that. So,
all right.
I am going to put that on there. I know, lovely, lovely. And I'm just going to finish our pancakes now. So we've got our starter. Thank you so much. Where's my other?
I think next time you come round, I'm going to be doing your pudding first.
Always. So my thing is if you don't have your pudding and something happens.
Yeah, that's right. If you get too full for pudding.
You're going to be furious.
That could be serious.
Furious.
It would be bad.
Do these... Are those ones induction?
Oh, it's not melting. That looks like it'll be right. It's a metal base.
Yeah.
It would be complaining to you if
there
it was.
We go.
If it wasn't,
Thank
it'd
you.
shout.
It'd be shouting at me.
Yeah, it would.
Okay, there we go.
Just right up high.
So, as we can see here, okay, that Stilton, is now completely kind of melted. You've got your lovely little chunks.
Did you do a training course in cooking? Or did
no.
You just imbibed it at your mother's knee?
No. So it was my nan. So I grew up, I'm born and bred Tottenham, Edmonton. And I spent a lot of time with my nan growing up in North London. And my nan was the most amazing cook. She was the best baker. She was just amazing. Wherever she was, I was there. Literally, I was stuck to her. And I like to think in my kind of own kind of like romantic way that that's what I've taken from her. I've taken that little, it's probably the only thing that's come completely natural to me. And I just, I just love food. I love learning about food. I love eating food. I just want to know more. I want to know more all the time.
You said to me just now that you loved learning. You were learning all the time.
Learning all the time.
Yeah.
And I think for the first time kind of, I have kind of, probably this year is the only time I've kind of addressed myself a little bit as a chef. Because I think, hang on, I'm working at both the pub and Margo's as a chef in the kitchen. I'm one of those roles. Because I was always kind of say cook, and I didn't kind of want to ever, I don't know, I look at some of my chef friends and I think, oh gosh, they'll be like, who does she think she is calling herself a chef? But I've learned so much, and for me it's such a privilege to be able to learn every day about something I love so much.
Yes.
And I think it's really important because we spend so much of our time working. If we're not enjoying it, I mean, there are days where I am crying quite a lot because of the pub.
It's a hot and busy environment, isn't it? I mean, it's stressful.
But I quite like it.
Yeah. Well, you just said you like to immerse yourself in baking for hours.
Yeah.
That is, although I love cooking, I think that's my idea of hell.
Oh, really?
I don't think I could spend 6 hours baking. I
love the
I could spend 6 hours eating.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that as well. Absolutely.
Baking.
But for me as well, it's kind of like the end product. And if I can give something to somebody as well, I love that. But also, I think for me, I'm not a massive fan of decorating.
No.
So I find that quite boring, which is interesting, obviously, going on the Great British Bake Off.
Yes.
When you're
about appearance.
Yes, when you're asked to make a 30 centimetre high gingerbread structure of your life, and you go, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a pub with a sticky ginger carpet.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like under pressure, I was able to do that, but actually, personally, it's not. It's kind of not something that is my favourite. It's not my go-to. No. I think so, yeah. I know. Do you know what? Give me 2 weeks to do something, I'll still be doing it 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
Give me 3.5 hours to make a gingerbread pub with the fear of what the nation are going to say about you. I'll get that bloody thing done.
I think lots of us are like that, aren't we? Work and think I'll do that in good time, but never. No.
So I've just got a bit of butter.
Thin. That is
thin.
A thin
crepe.
A thin crepe.
A crepe.
A crepe, and it's a nice. I'm interested in the texture of actually the consistency of the batter, which is quite thin. You see, if I were doing that, it would have holes in it and be sort of about to, what's the word?
At this point, I think it's probably a wrong choice. If this is a bit of a heavy pan, so it's taking a little bit longer. That means I can tell you more stories.
Yes, tell us stories.
But this is where at this point I say the first pancake never works.
Right.
So I always cover myself.
Yeah.
So if it does work, the first one, I go, see, look how good I am.
The first ones don't work though, do they?
They're the tester. That's the chef perk. You get to try that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all we're looking for, okay, that's good. That's not sticking.
Yeah.
So we just want it to colour. When the bubbles start, it kind of starts lifting away. We're going to flip it over. So there's 2 ways of doing this recipe. So in the book, I either talk about this, which I'm going to show you, is just literally fill them, sit down, eat them, enjoy.
Yeah.
Or you can do everything in advance. So you would make all your pancakes, put them on a baking tray in a very, very low oven covered with some tin foil and keep them warm. When all the pancakes are made, you fill them and then line them up in a tray, grate over the parmesan, the pine nuts and put them back in the oven.
Yeah.
So they almost bake. So you've got really crispy bit, the cheese melts on top, so you've almost got like a filled pancake.
Filled pancake. Yeah. I think they do that. In Italy they call that crespolini, and you make a pancake and then you stuff it with like a souffle mixture.
Oh, that sounds dreamy.
It's very good, you should do it.
The first pancake never works.
No. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful.
So we just want a little bit of colour on there. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 of these for you. But yeah, like I said, it's for me, cooking and baking, and the 2 books. I was never going to reinvent the wheel. No. It's not what I'm trying to do. It's just how I do things. It's how I love. The books, I talk about food in the exact same way that I speak.
Yes.
Because I wanted it to be completely in my voice. There was no way I was going to be able to do a book, and all of a sudden it was the amuse-bouche of blah 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 blah. Someone's going to look at that and go, "Well, that you haven't written that." No. My friends and family be like, "All right, who are you showing off to?"
But also that's how we are in the kitchen. I think that both of these books sound amazing. I don't know if anyone's got them yet. They are sold out.
It's been a busy summer for like food festivals and things, and I think that's probably kind of why
they're going to be
either that or I'm just super duper popular. Yeah. Also, the Bake Off's back on.
Yes.
So that also makes people
makes a difference.
Yeah.
But I want them both. One's called Comfort.
One's called Comfort.
Happy cooking.
Yeah.
And they both. And looking at this, it is happy cooking, isn't it?
Do you know what it is? It's just food that I like to do, food that I enjoy doing, food that makes me happy, and hopefully makes other people happy as well. But also, as I said, it's just about another little tip as well is with your pan. Yeah. Use a little bit of.
Yes, that is a tip I've just picked up.
kitchen cloth or anything like that to wipe the butter around so you're given a coating. Obviously, you can use oil and things like that, but I find this way it just goes kind of evenly. And do try and use a non-stick pan. Yeah. It makes things a hell of a lot easier. So while that one is finishing up, I'm just going to fill
one up.
I'm very, very happy about this.
It looks excellent, really does. And would you serve this with a salad, or what would you, nothing with it? Just as, no, silly me. Tomato? A tomato from the tomato farm?
Salad,
silly me.
Salad.
Is that rabbit food?
Lettuce never made anyone happy.
Do you know my brother? I've got a brother who says, if he sees salad on the plate, do you think I'm a rabbit?
So I like you do get some love, but I know I do joke about it, but I think I am funny with salad. I'm like, so what's this? No, do you know what? It would probably go really, really nicely with some salad.
Nothing.
No. I don't know why I'm trying to pretend there.
No, she's
she's
trying to be kind.
Yeah, I think this kind of as its own. Okay.
That's very chefy, that folding. I thought that was chefy.
I'm a world champion at origami as well. So we've got a little bit of parmesan there, just over the top. We're going to sprinkle over a few pine nuts. Okay, a little bit of extra. Again, if you're allergic and also expensive ingredients, if they're not. Some almonds go quite nice, and just leave them out. A few more herbs.
Yeah.
While that's doing, I might have a little bit of a let's have a little bit of a look at this little guy here. So as you've seen, did you see me just touch the pan then as well? Yep.
No, just again.
Yep.
What do you need?
Another spatula or a slice or something to get that out. But as you can see, I've now done it. It probably feels like the longest hour of your life. I have done 2 recipes from start to finish. And they, honestly, if I hadn't been talking so much about the dogs and about my greediness, I probably would have had them done in the 40 minutes.
But actually, you've been so relaxed, Candice. It's not been stressful. It's not like my kitchen at all. I don't know about yours, but it's not what happens when I'm cooking.
I love it. And I think it's really, really important that we stay calm. That we just, enjoy food. Smell it, enjoy it, taste it. I think, so I don't know if you can see that. So we've still got some lovely gooiness there. So what I would do with this is I would serve that in the pan, put the pan in the middle of the table, tell everyone not to touch the pan. And I would put 3-4 scoops of ice cream just on that, and I'd let everyone dig in and help themselves. However, if you were going to be or wanted to be a little bit fancier, you can get some lovely little mini frying pans.
Yes.
You do them that they cook in the oven in 8 minutes, and a little individual one, blob of ice cream on top, perfect.
Gosh. Yeah, every time I do this thing, I come out wanting, have you got a Thermomix in one of your kitchens?
We do, yes.
Do you love that?
Do you know what? It is an absolute game changer.
Is it?
It's so clever.
You heard it here again. It's a game changer. I deserve one, don't I?
Oh, you really do.
I think
you really, really do. In actual fact,
a Thermomix.
I feel it'd be an injustice if you don't have one.
Thank you, Candice. I loved you
that was
already.
The right thing to say,
it was the right thing to say. Do you have them at HTP? Well, I think we need to get sponsorship to get you some. I think so. Robert Thompson said he could get good prices. Oh, well, a Thermomix does
It's basically
everything.
a mixer on steroids.
Yes.
You can boil an egg in it. It blitzes stuff. You can make soups. You can literally do. It's like a.
You think it doesn't.
Oh, it's just
You
ridiculous.
put everything in and magic emerges.
It really does.
No, I've seen it happen. It's just you put everything in and then a souffle somehow appears.
Yep.
I don't know how it does it. Or buy a Thermomix. Absolutely, but they are incredibly expensive. Yeah, you have to speak ever so nicely to someone who loves you enormously in order to get one. No.
That does not surprise me.
We'll get one. We'll get it organised, and we've got to do that. I think but they'll be spoilt forever then. Yeah, I think so.
That's the trouble. We've got them in the kitchen, and if they're not able to use it, they're like, "What am I going to use?" I'm like, "A knife."
Old technology.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? However, sometimes when you look at the kitchen equipment, and there's things like they're like Thermomix, and you do look at the price of stuff, you think, right, for that much, I want it to give me a back massage.
Yeah, exactly.
Like to serve me my food and do the washing up.
But you've got time with that, you see, to have the back massage, whereas otherwise you don't. I'm sure you've all got questions, because before you get, I'm hoping we get an opportunity to taste in a minute.
Well, I should hope so. So there we are. We have got, for starter, we've got double chocolate and pistachio skillet pan cookie. And then for our main course, we have got buckwheat chive pancakes with wild mushroom, spinach and Stilton, onion, garlic, cheesy goodness in the middle, just topped with a little bit of parmesan and some pine nuts. So two lovely little recipes from start to finish.
In about, I don't know, the wave of a wand.
Just like magic.
That. She wouldn't have anything, there was nothing prepped. Did you notice that? Just weighed out, here we are.
Yeah, these are nice ones for that. That kind of start to finish.
She did it all in front
also
of us.
with the cookies, if you don't want to bother with the pan or anything, this keeps really, really well. Roll it like into a log. Have you guys done that at college yet? And you roll things, you make it like in a nice sausage shape, you roll it in the cling film.
Oh no.
Yeah, really, really good way of doing it. Make a sausage with it, put it in the fridge, it keeps for about a week, and all you need to do is slice off the pucks, slice them off, put them onto a tray, into the oven. You got cookies in 8 or 9 minutes.
There you are. Your husband will love you forever, Glynis. Double chocolate for Chris. It's fantastic. Well, questions? Come on. Yes, hello.
Just off the book, you said it's sold out. Is it coming back?
Well,
I would hope so. I think if you look online, I think it's available online. Yeah.
Okay. But Candice has kindly offered. Someone's going to tell us all about this. She's going to sign some cards for you, so you can pre-order and still get the signature. I think that would be lovely.
Might draw you a nice picture as well.
Yeah. Oh. Don't eat it all because they want some. Any questions, people? Come on. There must be loads.
So that can be, again, baking powder. So self-raising flour. So I always go with Mary Berry's Victoria Sponge recipe. And she uses 225 of everything. So it's the one I was talking to Louise and Bailey about. They're about me, but I can't really remember numbers. I'm not really good at numbers. No. But her Victoria Sponge recipe is the only one I can remember off by heart, because it's 225 self-raising flour, 225 caster sugar, 225 butter. She uses 2 teaspoons of baking powder along with the self-raising. I only use 1. Don't tell her that I've changed Mary's recipe. No. She used the queen. But it's just over mixing as well. Try not to over mix it as well.
Oh.
So I think it's just.
How many eggs for 225?
That's 4.
4 eggs.
4 eggs. Yeah. So quite 4 eggs for 225. But then other people do the method where they weigh out 4 eggs and then use the same weight of the flour, sugar, butter. It really does whatever works for you. Like you say, if you've got an oven that does that, maybe one version works. But look at self-raising flour. I'd start with maybe 1 teaspoon of baking powder alongside of that, and just try not to over mix. As soon as the flour goes in and the baking powder, as soon as it's combined, that's enough mixing. Yeah.
I definitely over mix. You see, the Thermomix would stop that. It would. It would just. You'd be perfect with a Thermomix. Cheeky.
2 days. So 2 days. So everyone kind of thinks it's done at a weekend, but it's not. It's whenever, I suppose, like timing and however what the other, like Paul and at that time Paul and Mary were doing kind of fits in with their schedules. But we would get there probably the night. So we'd get there the night before. So for some weeks it might be filmed on a Thursday, Friday. The week after it might be filmed on a Tuesday, Wednesday. So the biggest gap we had in between episodes was 12 days. So we had a big old gap because I think sort of Paul and Mary had some filming bits to do. Yeah. The smallest gap we had was a day and a half. I was teaching at the time, so I was a secondary school teacher. I was looking after the special educational needs department. Had a really incredibly supportive headmaster who I'd go into school and he'd go, Miss Brown, how was your 2 days off? And I'd go, Very well, thank you. I probably am going to need 2 days next week. And he'd go, okay, no worries.
Oh.
Because obviously we weren't allowed to tell anybody, so we had kind of this little code of him going, how was your weekend? And I'd go, very, very good, thank you, sir. And then when I won, I went back in, and it was the first day of GCSEs.
Oh.
I hadn't really slept. I still had chocolate everywhere from the final. And I'm going in shouting at these 16-year-olds, tuck your shirt in, no talking. And then I stood there and I went, I won the Great British Bake Off yesterday. And the head walked along, because he obviously had known it was a fine, and he was like, how are you, Miss Brown? And I just went like this. I started crying. He went, and he got all emotional. He went, meeting at 11 o'clock? Okay, I'll see you then. And I was just sitting there, it's giving me goosebumps even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But it literally, it's 2 days. And it's like they have 14, 15, 16-hour days sometimes.
Yeah.
And you have to wear the same thing, because so on the first day we'll film signature and technical, and then the second day is the showstopper. But sometimes they have to go back and sort of pick up things from the day before, like ask you about how did the day go and stuff. Excuse me. Hence why you're in the same clothes, which is always a little bit of a nightmare. If, like me, one day when I got oil down my front and then was having to wash my stuff in the bath with shampoo. But a little funny story as well, when we had the time between, so I was teaching, I was still doing all of that. I mean, barely sleeping because I was practicing. I knew I wasn't the best in the tent, I wasn't. But what I did have was a stubborn, hard working attitude. I was like, I know I have to put everything into this. And a day between, we had the day and a half in between, so we'd filmed, I'd gone back and done like a day and a half at work, gone back down again to film the next episode. And we were all absolutely shattered. But you know when delusion sets in because you're so tired. And I don't know if it comes across. I like to mess around.
Surely not.
I can't help
I can't imagine
sometimes.
that.
I've got the humour of a 10-year-old boy. And we're in the tent. And I blame it on Andrew. It was all Andrew's fault. I started to laugh. And everyone else started to laugh. But then everyone else stopped laughing. I couldn't stop. When I say, you know those laughs where your shoulders are going, you're crying, I had snot bubbles. I was like this behind the thing. I couldn't, and all the rest of them, the buggers, were all just stood there like this. And it was the one day Paul and Mary were sat at the front of the tent, and I'm going like this. I couldn't, and they were going, and the producer was going, everyone look at the front, please. Everyone, Candice, look at the front. I was going, I'm so sorry. In the end, it was like, right, everyone out the tent. Candice, go and have a word with yourself. I was going, I'm so sorry. I got everyone sent out the bake-off tent because I couldn't stop laughing. That's what, a day and a half.
Sounds like you enjoyed it, and you obviously you thrive on it. You've given us the most amazing time this morning, Candice. I've absolutely loved meeting you and what you've done.
I loved it. I
can't wait to taste it. We've got only a couple of minutes left, so
you're so welcome.
It's been amazing, hasn't it? We'll thank her properly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
No, absolutely wonderful. And